Alright, welcome back, guys, to episode 2 of the Cosmic Kangaroo podcast. I'm here with my guest and friend, Joseph.
Hello.
And today we're going to be discussing failed game consoles. Because he actually brought this up to me, and it was something that I had thought about before, especially with the Wii U, because I really like the console. But he really wanted to talk about what makes a console a failed console, or why these consoles failed.
Try to figure out kind of a pattern for these consoles.
Yeah. So we're going to start with the Dreamcast. And it all pretty much began with the Sega Saturn, because Sega was trying to keep the Genesis alive with the Sega CD and the 32X add-ons, which basically improved the Genesis. And eventually, obviously, they had to create a new console, so they rushed out the Sega Saturn. And it was actually supposed to release in September of 1995, but they pushed it back to May of 1995 to beat the release of the PS1, because the PS1 had been announced and it was supposed to be coming out in September, but they obviously wanted to get a head start in the console race, so they pushed it back to May of 1995, which screwed with a lot of the developers because they weren't able to take advantage of the Dreamcast's or the Saturn's power, because, I mean, it wasn't a really powerful console, but they just weren't able to utilize it to its full potential because they had to rush their games and rush their development. So by the time the PS1 actually released, the Saturn had sold 80,000 units, but the PS1 sold 100,000 on day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Saturn was completely destroyed by the PS1. And then the N64 launched in September the 29th of 1996, and that sold 400,000 units in 4 months. And
so about the same as the PS1's kind of.
Pretty much, yeah. Probably PS1 might have been a little more, a little less. I'm not sure.
They were pretty close.
Yeah. In 1997, Sega actually had controlled only 12% of the console market.
Oh.
Yeah, very, very small amount, and they were losing it because they were losing that small amount because their consoles, kept failing. So on May 21st, 1998, the Dreamcast was announced, and it was going to include a 56K modem, stereo sound, a 3D graphics chip made by NEC. Games were on GD-ROMs, double density CDs that could hold over 1 gigabyte of data, which was a lot.
Yeah.
And it launched November 27th, 1998 in Japan. They shipped about 450,000 units the first few weeks, which is pretty good, considering that the PS4 sold 100,000 day one, and the Nintendo 64 sold 400,000 units in 4 months. So, I mean, about a half, or probably like a fourth of the time that it took the Nintendo 64 to make 400,000, the Dreamcast made it in a few weeks. Sega actually felt that the launch was horrible due to a shortage of chips from NEC. They said that they thought like 200,000 to 300,000 more consoles could have been sold, but they couldn't because NEC didn't give them enough 3D chips. Just turning my page of my notes here. So on March 2nd, 1999, the PS2 was announced in Tokyo, Japan, and expected to launch in 2000. So
the PS2 is responsible for many console failures.
Yeah,
like the GameCube and the Dreamcast.
I wouldn't really consider the GameCube a failure, honestly. I don't think it was fully appreciated as I don't think it's appreciated as much as it should be, but I don't think it definitely was not a failure. I wouldn't consider it a failure.
When people are talking about like Nintendo consoles, the GameCube rarely ever comes into conversation.
Yeah, which is weird because it has a lot of classic games on it, like Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, but
a lot of the Metroid games were on that.
it was probably the first time Nintendo
Resident
tried to
Evil.
stray away from those kid-friendly games, and
Yeah.
even though most of the kid-friendly games were kind of being released around that time, which
Yeah.
is weird.
That's a problem with the Wii U, and I'll get into that when we get into the Wii U.
Yeah,
Those
those are the ones I'm very looking forward to because.
But anyway, comparing the PS2 to the Dreamcast, the PS2 could render 16 million polygons per second, whereas the Dreamcast can only render 3 million.
Yeah.
So, enormous fucking power difference. Enormous.
When did these two release? Like, when did the Dreamcast release?
The Dreamcast was released on November 27th, 1998 in Japan.
And the PS2?
The PS2, it was announced on March 2nd, 1999. It launched in 2000.
So
I
2
believe.
years after.
Yeah, so a couple years after. And that actually led to what I'm going to get into later on about the Dreamcast during the holidays. But the games for the PS2 were on DVDs, which dual layer could hold up to 8.5 gigabytes, and the least it could hold was like 4 gigabytes or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it could hold less than that, but you know what I mean. There were two different. There was 4 and then 8 gigabytes. And then the Dreamcast, the games were on GD-ROM, which were only 1.2 gigabytes. So again, a massive, massive difference
In the power, but
Yeah.
the original Xbox was a lot more powerful than the PS2, but as you can tell, games that were released for the Xbox weren't very,
Yeah, they weren't really good.
yeah. Like, the only ones that were good were also released on the PS2 as well,
Yeah.
so there wasn't much reason to buy anything else aside from the PS2, which is why the PS2 was so successful, because it didn't have much of a competition.
Yeah, exactly, because it just pretty much crushed the consoles that were out around it.
Yeah, like the Dreamcast, it dwarfed the Dreamcast in power.
Yeah,
and
extremely.
It dwarfed the Xbox in first-party support.
Yeah, the Xbox didn't even come out until I think it was actually announced after the PS2 was released.
Yeah.
But the PS2 supported broadband internet support, so like what we know now as normal online, whereas the Dreamcast was 56K dial-up, but it later went on to support broadband internet. I mean, I never personally have played with dial-up, but I have heard it is extremely, extremely slow.
I didn't get into online gaming until about like.
Yeah, because
Like
I never
2016.
I never played games on a computer old enough to use dial-up, so I don't know exactly how slow it is, but I have heard that it was extremely slow. Now this is what really pushed the PS2 over the edge. It could play DVDs. It was the first console that could play DVDs, and obviously the Dreamcast didn't. But I bet you didn't know that in Japan, DVDs were not very popular until the release of PS2. The DVD market exploded because of the PS2.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
The PS2 was also that console that kind of it was one of the first consoles that really blurred the lines between cinematic experiences than kind of arcadey experiences. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The North American launch of the Dreamcast was actually a huge success. They sold 500,000 units in 2 weeks. Fucking insane, right? And retailers actually demanded that the console be restocked after it was sold out, because it had done so well, and it had a lot of great launch titles as well.
Yeah.
I didn't write them down because most of them I didn't even know what they were, but there was like Sonic. What was it? Sonic Adventure, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Sonic Adventure. But as of the end of 1999, there had been 1.2 million sold. The console actually was pretty simple, but it had 4 controller ports, which is a big deal because before that you had to get adapters to have multiple controllers.
Yeah.
It had a memory card, which was actually really cool. It looked like a little Game Boy almost, and it had an LCD screen, a D-pad, an A and B button, and like a start and select button. And what you could actually do was, there was a hole here in the controller, like in the center, and you could stick that in there, and it would play animations, like of the game while you were playing.
Wow.
Yeah, and some games actually had mini games that you could play. You could take it out and play your game's mini game on it.
That's really
It's
cool.
fucking cool, right? And it had ports on the top where you can connect it to someone else's, and you can exchange game data.
That's
really cool. I thought it was actually really cool, like
that's
really
something
cool.
that people don't even know about. But
Yeah, exactly. I
it's
had
not
no
just
idea about
common
that.
knowledge, but
I had absolutely no idea about that, but that's really cool to me because it's a memory card for your whole, like, for your system, but it also functions as, oh, you can play some mini games, or you stick it in your controller and you see some animations. You know what I mean? It's cool. But it did leave the big hole in the middle of the controller, but I mean, if you put the thing in there, it really was no problem. They also came out with accessories like a fishing rod, a keyboard and mouse, and a microphone, which again, I don't know if I knew about those, but I think I was familiar about the fishing rod one, because I think I had seen someone play a game or something with a fishing rod, and the microphone too.
obviously it wasn't huge success.
Have you ever heard of the game Seaman?
Oh
Or
yeah.
Seaman? It's fucking hilarious. That game is so
Dude.
funny. That was that game had a big the microphone was a really, you could use the microphone in that.
That game, my god.
It's funny. It's really funny.
It's funny, but like in kind of a.
That was made by a third-party developer,
Oh,
and it
right.
was actually later ported to the PS2. The launch of the PS2 was actually March 4th, 2000.
Sorry.
It was a huge success for Sony because
course.
launch day in Japan, 600,000 units were sold on launch day.
Okay, the highest selling console.
That's
of all
insane.
time.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It even beat the Dreamcast's 500,000 in 2 weeks. 500,000 in 2 weeks compared to 600,000 day one. That's insane. 1 million Dreamcasts were sold in Japan, 2 million in the US. So Sega decided to focus their marketing efforts for the Dreamcast in the US because they sold more consoles. March 10th, 2000, Microsoft announced the Xbox. And it was obviously made to compete against the PS2.
Which of course failed.
Yeah. And this really surprised me. Sega US announced SegaNet, which was basically an internet service which would allow for fast online gameplay, web browsing, and more. And if you signed up for a 2-year subscription, it was like $21.95 for a month. And if you signed up for a 2-year subscription, you would get a Dreamcast and a keyboard for free.
That's really, really good.
Right? Yeah, it's like getting like 2 years of online for the Xbox, which is what, $120, and getting a fucking Xbox for free with like 2 or 3 controllers.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, because the Dreamcast I think was like $200 or $199. It was something like that. I think it was $199. You basically spent a couple $100 and you got a console for free, and you get your online service.
Yeah.
So it was a good deal, honestly, and that really surprised me.
Again,
Yeah.
all these things that Sega was just throwing out were really cool ideas that many people weren't even thinking about at that time.
This is the chart, by the way, showing the control of the percentage of the game console market in 1997.
Yeah.
12% is Sega, 47% is Sony, 40% is Nintendo, and 1% is other. This is the quote from Soichiro Irimajiri.
Don't
Yeah,
try.
I'm extremely butchering this, but he was the former CEO of Sega, and this was on the issue of the lack of the shortage of the graphics chips from NEC. He said 200,000 to 300,000 additional units could have been sold if we could have had enough supply of graphics chips. Which honestly sucks because that really hurt it. You know what I mean? If they had sold more, then the console would have done better, obviously. But they couldn't because they couldn't produce them because they didn't have those chips. So at this point, the PS2 has been announced. Bernard Stoller, who was the head of I think he was the head of Sega at the time, or a CEO. He said, Sony's machine sounds impressive, but the fact is, it's still on paper. Dreamcast is here now. While Sony is working to create that hardware, Sega will already be in the marketplace with Dreamcast. And then he was later fired because of internal conflict and replaced with, oh shit, I forget his name, but he's the head of EA Sports or something like that now. And he was the head of Microsoft for a while. He went to Microsoft after working with Sega. And he actually helped develop the Xbox because of his experience at Sega. So I guess he kind of had an inside thing of how Sega worked, so they could, they had an advantage. But yeah, so I really thought that the SegaNet thing was cool. I thought that was really cool.
Again, they were throwing out ideas and no one was even thinking.
Yeah, and no one was ready for that. And I think
it was way before its time.
Exactly. And I was watching a video by the gaming historian, and that's where I got this information. So go check him out. He's actually a really cool YouTuber. He makes videos on the history of consoles and games and stuff like that, or companies. On the video I watched, there was a comment that said, "The Dreamcast didn't fail. We failed the Dreamcast." And honestly, I completely agree with that.
We weren't paying enough attention.
Exactly, because the Dreamcast was an amazing. I mean, it wasn't a completely really powerful It wasn't a beast like the PS2 was at the time, but it didn't have to be.
Or the Xbox.
It was simple, you know what I mean? And they had all this extra stuff that people just weren't ready for and didn't appreciate. And it sucks because it's really cool. And you see all this stuff now, it's mainstream. It's mainstream now to be playing online and all that. And Sega was trying to do it before everyone else, and no one gave them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I think because Sega was doing all this stuff to try to keep themselves relevant, it's kind of the opposite of how I think the Wii U and the Vita failed, which we'll talk about later on.
I think people probably thought that they were trying too hard.
Yeah.
Which honestly is stupid because if I could get let's say a PS4, they're like, buy 2 years of PlayStation Plus and you get a console free with 2 controllers. I'm like, hell yeah, thanks.
Yeah, imagine if they bundled the PS Vita with your PS4 for 2 years of fucking
yeah, exactly.
Plus.
They give
amazing.
you if you buy 2 years of PlayStation Plus, when you buy your let's say when you buy your PS4, then you get a Vita free.
I wouldn't say
that's cool.
I wouldn't say they were trying too hard. I
think
that would
I'd be like, thanks. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, thank you. I'm gonna play your console.
But I guess at this time, video gaming wasn't as big as it is now.
Video gaming was starting to pick up.
Yeah, but
which I think also had a negative effect on the Dreamcast. It wasn't super mainstream, but it was starting to get there. It was it really blew up with the PS2.
Yeah,
it really blew up with the
PS2. Really, fucking was amazing.
Yeah. So after that, the GameCube was announced.
Yeah.
Which I don't have too much information on, but I really like the GameCube. I have a couple of them, and I really enjoy the games. I mean, they're really fun games. Even the Resident Evil games that I've played were fun. It had some really cool launch titles, including Luigi's Mansion. That was the GameCube's Mario Universe launch title, which is one of my favorite games of all time. I absolutely love Luigi's Mansion.
I played the sequel on the
3DS. I don't really like the second one. I don't think it doesn't have the charm that the first one has.
Yeah, I never played
Definitely
the
doesn't.
original, but
I
played the second one.
You should definitely play the original. It's well worth playing. And Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
Amazing game. And I feel like the GameCube was underrated, but people played it and people liked it, but I feel like it was definitely underrated. The part shortage in Japan actually caused Sony to release less consoles, and the launch titles were garbage. People hated the launch titles, but there was actually a part shortage, and it caused them to release less consoles, less PS2s than they could have if they had more parts. The PS2 cost was obviously 2 times that of the Dreamcast, which was a downside on the PS2's part.
Didn't really affect it that much.
The Dreamcast sales surged. This is what I was talking about earlier. The Dreamcast sales surged during the 2000 holiday because the PS2 was so expensive that people were like, oh, I don't have enough money for that, and the holiday is, a couple months away. So they were only able to get the Dreamcast during the holidays, and then after, the next holiday, the Dreamcast was gone, and PS2 was obviously, the console to get. On January 24th, though, they discontinued the Dreamcast.
That's a short-lived console.
Yeah, so right after the holiday, where it was extremely popular, only because really the PS2 was so expensive, they discontinued it, which sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
It took Sega 22 months to sell 6.5 million Dreamcasts, and it only took Sony 15 months to sell 10 million PS2s. It's crazy. They really, really destroyed the Dreamcast. So I have a little thing here. In short, I believe the Dreamcast failed because the PS2, obviously number one, the PS2, the DVD drive really hurt. Like I said, the DVDs weren't really popular in Japan at the time. This one really surprised me. No, there was really no third party. There were no third party support for the Dreamcast because the Saturn was such a failure. No one wanted to make dreams for the Dreamcast. So they're all made by Sega. So they had to create the console, produce the accessories, make the online, and make the games.
Just like how Nintendo has been for a little while.
Exactly. Yeah, Nintendo's definitely heading in that direction, which I started to realize.
Until the Switch comes out, which of course can skyrocket all these third-party support.
Which is what I was thinking about the Wii U, and that's another reason we'll get into when we get to the Wii U.
Yeah.
But I actually was surprised by this one as well. Piracy was a huge part because people took advantage of the PC's new DVD burning function, and they ripped the games from the Dreamcast because there was a serial port on the back of the Dreamcast. I'm not exactly sure what a serial port is, but they were able to rip the games from the back of the Dreamcast or through the broadband adapter. So they were able to put it on a disc and sell it, play it on your Dreamcast. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As of February 18th, 2014, 10.6 million Dreamcasts have been sold, which is insane because Sony sold the PS2 sold that in 15 months.
Yeah.
And it took the Dreamcast 14 years to sell 10 million. Insane. Absolutely insane. And it's a shame. It really is. Well, that's it for the Dreamcast.
Alright, let's get on to what kind of inspired us to do this. Is the more modern consoles, the Wii U and of course the Vita. So, why do you really think that the Wii U failed?
Really, I really had no understanding of why people didn't like it. And once I read this, or once I read into it and did some research, it basically comes down to like a couple reasons. Really, the only thing that people really cared about was that the gamepad was underused. That's pretty much it. I mean, because they were like, well, it's pretty much pointless. You know what I mean? Even Minecraft now doesn't really utilize the gamepad as much as it should. Like, even when you're like navigating your inventory, you can't click and drag stuff with your pen or with your stylus, which I think is dumb because it has a touch screen. You might as well use the touch screen.
Minecraft could have been a huge release for the Wii U, but unfortunately it was just like the Xbox 360 and the PS3 release, basically.
Yeah.
And the updates still took even longer than those consoles. Mm-hmm. Basically, if you had a console aside from the Wii U, there was no real reason to buy a Minecraft on the Wii U.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I never bought it for the Wii U.
The internet support isn't quite there for the Wii U. There was no real reason to buy it for the Wii U when you could buy it even for the Xbox 360 or the PS3 or even the Vita.
But yeah, like people really think that the gamepad is severely underused, which honestly I agree. I agree with that because I think more games should be taking advantage of it, and they don't.
I mean, it's so cool.
Yeah. But this was another big one that I discovered while researching, but I had thought about before, and I was like, yeah, that's true. It doesn't have any online communication.
No, it doesn't.
Like, there's no in-game chat. Like, you can't talk to your friends while playing a game.
You can't just add them straight on. You can't
there's
games
no
connected to a specific account.
And that was another reason why I loved like the PlayStations and the Xboxes, because, well, I didn't really love the Xboxes, but that was a reason that I was attracted to those over a Nintendo console, was because
the organized online.
Yeah, there was an organized online system which the Wii U did not have. And you were able to play with your friends. You were able to add friends, talk to your friends, play games with your friends.
You can do that with the Wii U. It's just you can't just go into like your recent players or something and just shoot them a message.
You can't add a friend to your friends list and then go in the game and play with them and talk over a headset.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
You'd have to set it all up through some kind of friend code and then maybe set up Skype in the background.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just completely like inconvenient.
It would have helped out the Wii U a lot to have some kind of organized online. And if they made it free, that would have
definitely exactly. If they had made a free organized online system, they definitely would have.
I don't think they would have won. I think they would have.
I think they would have pushed ahead of the PS3 and Xbox 360.
Yeah,
honestly, in my opinion,
it came out around the time when Xbox One and PS4 was kind of coming out. So
well, it came out before those, like a year, maybe two before they actually came out. So it was considered Nintendo's next gen console, because the Wii was actually supposed to be the competitor to the Xbox 360 and PS3. So it was kind of considered Nintendo's next-gen console. Obviously, it was severely underpowered compared to those, the PS4 and the Xbox One, but it was more powerful than the Xbox 360 and PS3. So I think that if they had a very organized online system, that it would have beat those two consoles, honestly. Not necessarily beat them, but it definitely would have enhance the Wii U's reputation, and it just would have made it a better console, honestly.
Yeah. Also, I don't think that the Wii U should have been as pricey as the Xbox One and the PS4. Even now, you can pick up the Xbox One for less than you can for a Wii U.
Well, the Wii U comes with a tablet is expensive. It's
of course.
The gamepad is a tablet, so essentially you're getting almost two consoles, because you can play games and stuff. Well, it's not necessarily a console. It's almost like a console and another screen. Like, it's almost like a console and a mini TV with controllers on it.
To me, I always thought it was just like it was basically just a screen that was streaming everything that was from the console onto that.
It doesn't do that for every game, because I actually found out that for Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Why were you playing down the
I wasn't, but I found out that it actually eliminates split screen completely, because two players can play. One person can play on the gamepad and the other person can play on the TV. So it eliminates split screen altogether, which is fucking amazing, honestly.
That's so cool.
Amazing.
Because honestly, I cannot tell you how many times I got so pissed off at like Kai just for peeking over at my screen.
Yeah, either screen peekers or it just you have a small TV or something and it gets annoying.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that was completely overlooked, which sucks, because that's really cool. And if they had stuck with that,
if they marketed
really
it
cool.
and they
if
put
they
it
had
as
marketed
a big
that
part of a lot of games,
then I feel like that definitely would have boosted the Wii U.
A lot of things that they should have really pushed for the Wii U that they didn't really sucks.
Yeah.
Another thing that really I thought that the Wii U failed was just because the 3DS was out at the same time. And they were really looking at the 3DS all the time.
Yeah, they were
big games.
They were focusing mainly on the 3DS, which sucks, because I had a 3DS and I fucking loved it.
It's great.
It was a really great console, and I think they're really overdoing it with their handheld consoles now, with the 2DS and what else is out? Like they make a DS, and then they have the XL and all that stuff. So they had the 3DS, the 3DS XL, and
Well,
then the
they're all
2DS,
around the same
and
price. It's nice to have options. You know?
yeah, I mean, I guess, but I mean, I feel like they were focusing more of the efforts on that instead of trying to improve their console, their big console, which was the Wii U.
They were completely focusing on the 3DS and all the 3DS models instead of even marketing.
That was another reason. That was another reason
anymore.
people were not as enthusiastic about the Wii U, is because Nintendo wasn't.
Yeah,
They weren't focusing their time on the Wii U. They were focusing mainly on the 3DS, and people wanted the Wii U to be great, and Nintendo did too. But I feel like, and people felt like they gave up because people felt like they saw it as a loss, and they just wanted to kind of get past it as quickly as possible and move on to the 3DS and better things. But it was such an underrated and underused console because Nintendo definitely could have made it better, and they definitely can still make it better, in my opinion. They definitely still can. Even with the Switch, I feel like they could definitely improve the Wii U significantly.
Yeah, because it's not that old of a console.
Yeah.
Discontinuing it right now would be a real shame.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely don't think they should discontinue it for a long while, in my opinion, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know how they would get people to buy it now with the Switch. They would have to really bring it down in price and just kind of make more games for it.
Yeah, honestly, like if the Wii U is like, I don't know how much it is now. I think it's like $250. If it was like if it was like $100 cheaper, I would buy it.
Yeah, if they were
I would buy it.
$150. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great deal. I would
100%. I would buy it.
bring it, like throw in Mario Kart 8 with it. Bam.
Yeah.
I'd buy it.
Like give
immediately.
me a game. You don't even have to give me a game, and I would still buy it for $150 because the original price was like $300, which I mean isn't bad compared to the next gen consoles, but it's still a lot of money. But like I was saying earlier about the third party support, the Wii U has little to none.
Yeah.
There have been a couple third party games.
But who cares?
Yeah, but like I said, like Black Ops 2, no one was playing Black Ops 2 on the Wii U, and I think that was the reason people didn't discover the no split screen thing, because they never really played it on a Wii U. You'd rather play it on an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Yeah. If you were playing Black Ops 2 on the Wii U, it's mainly because you don't have an Xbox 360.
Exactly, and most people had those consoles.
Yeah. It's the same deal with Minecraft.
Like, you didn't get a Wii U to play Black Ops. You got a Wii U to play Mario.
Or Zelda.
Or Zelda, or Pikmin, or something.
Or those cool Wii games. Another thing. That's a big thing. For why I thought it should have succeeded is because it had third-party support, which a lot of consoles right now do not have.
Yeah, people definitely didn't really take advantage of it. I think it definitely could have been taken advantage of more, especially in the third-party wise.
I didn't see a single trailer for it or any.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I had ever seen an advertisement for the Wii U, and I honestly
for backwards compatibility specifically.
Yeah, like they never mentioned that it was backwards compatible, and I think I discovered that by accident because I wanted to test it one day, and I had put in a Wii game, and it worked, and it actually switches to the old Wii interface, which is cool. It had great first-party titles,
of course,
Mario, which most consoles now, especially the PS4 and the Xbox One, really don't have.
Well, the PS4 is kind of coming through right now.
Sony doesn't really make. Sony makes little to no games for their console. Microsoft at least makes Halo, but even still, that's not like. It's not. I mean, it's only one game. Obviously, Halo is really popular and successful, but it's one game. Whereas most of the Wii U's games, I would say 99% of the Wii U's games are first party. You got Mario, Zelda, Pikmin, Animal Crossing. All these games that are made by Nintendo for their console. And they're all really great games.
Yeah, but Sony would usually hire guys like Naughty Dog, like loyal developers to make games for them. Naughty Dog and the guys who are working on that Spider-Man, I forget what they were called. Insomniac Games, yes. Great developers that make amazing games. But they don't really quite live up to the nostalgic hype that Nintendo will always have. because Nintendo games always have that kind of big audience that everyone's kind of looking forward to.
Yeah.
Like when a Mario game is released, everyone at least gives it the time of day. They always look at
because I feel like Nintendo games are more of like, hey, it's a Friday night. Let's sit on the couch and play some Mario Party or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but with Sony games, it's more of like
I'm gonna sit down and play a first-person shooter online or play a game by myself.
Or I'm gonna like sit down in the dark and I'm just gonna really experience these games by myself.
Yeah,
When,
and that's a good thing. That's a thing that I liked about the Wii U was that it was a very social console.
Of course.
And I wonder if that's why they didn't really have the online feature, was so that it would bring you in. Like, classic consoles like the GameCube and even, like, all those old consoles, you had to be in the same room to play together. And I wonder if Nintendo wants to stick with that. Because, which honestly, I really appreciate that, because they want to keep you social while playing games. You know, when you're playing Mario Party with your friends or your family, it's fun. It's fucking fun.
Yeah, like when you're all inside the same room and shit.
Yeah, but if you're online playing Black Ops or something, let's say, on a Xbox or PS4.
Toxic kind
yeah,
of.
you're just sitting there like, fucking, you get mad or whatever, or you maybe be talking to your friends in your headset, and it's not the same as being there with people.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
I mean, some games can, like, really bring you in online and really help you work as a team and kind of replicate it.
But it's I don't think they even come close to the experience of being in the same room with people and experiencing each other's company and playing these games. And I think that is that's a really large reason as to why I support and appreciate most Nintendo consoles.
But personally, I don't think that's a very good idea. Because, you can do that. You can bring your family all the time, and that's what it should be the majority of the time. They should expand on that social thing.
Yeah, but I think they don't want to do that, because if they do that, it will become solely an online console like PS2 or Xbox. I honestly doubt that people are coming over someone's house to play a split screen game. Like, I know we do it sometimes, but mainly people play online. Yeah. And I think that's what Nintendo wants to avoid.
But I think you should have that option on Nintendo, as long as you do it well.
But I think if that option was even there, people would just exploit it, and it would become that completely. And I think Nintendo doesn't want that to happen, because I think Nintendo consoles are family consoles. You get it and you play with your family or your friends in one room. You enjoy each other's company, enjoy playing the game, you have fun, and that's it. You don't sit down in your room alone playing online with people. Maybe you know them. You're talking to them in your ear. Maybe you don't even know them. You're just sitting there playing your game by yourself. I would rather play a game where it's a bunch of us sitting in a room, like Smash Brothers.
Yeah, of course.
Fucking fun, dude. I love playing Smash Brothers with a room full of people. That's the funnest thing. I would take that over playing Black Ops Online any day.
But think
any day.
Of course. But
because I enjoy that social interaction.
But think
that the Wii U has. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, but
right.
That the Wii U has that these other consoles don't have.
But think if you could invite your friend to a Smash Brothers game, from your friends list or something, do you really think that would take away from the experience of just having like another friend inside the room?
I think it would, because if you're playing online, Smash Brothers does have it online, but you're playing with random people.
Yeah.
Which that's fine.
It's
but
nice practice.
When you're playing with your friends, you want to play in the same room as Smash, so you can have those reactions, so you can have that challenge, that extra heightened tension of who's gonna win. You know what I mean? Because I've played Smash Brothers tournaments with my friends in a room, all of us sitting around, and it's a really amazing feeling. Sitting there, the tensions are heightened, everyone's screaming, you're all hyped up. It's insane, and it's like this exhilarating feeling. And then you go and sit on your PlayStation and play Call of Duty by yourself. And I've played Call of Duty. It's not one of my favorite games, so I'll play it occasionally. But I'm a social person. I love people, and I find that a lot of people don't want to admit it, which pisses me off. But a lot of people don't want to admit that they like people, and they say they don't like being social. We're human fucking beings. But we need to be social. We're social creatures.
we're kind of straying off topic a bit, but
I know.
Yeah, but I see where you're coming from.
I got a
People
little,
will exploit their laziness.
I got a little too deep into that. Yeah, exactly.
They'll exploit their laziness and just kind of use that online feature and not go to their friend's house if they can use online. But really, I don't think that would take away from my experience too much.
I think it would because
I can just go to my friend's house whenever I want because I'm not a lazy person.
Yeah, but
some people would.
But if you had the choice to play online or play in a room together, what would you choose?
I think I'd rather prefer playing in a room together, but
okay,
I'd like to have the option to play online.
And what if your friend only wants to play online? They don't want to play in one room together.
Then I'd kind of just I'd play online, but
that ruins it for me. That ruins it for me because
that friend, I wouldn't want to play with them that too much.
That ruins it for me, though, because they're exploiting their laziness. They're exploiting the fact that the online is there in the first place, and they're using it to their advantage. And I don't like that because I want to play. I love playing Nintendo games with people, and that's the point of Nintendo games. You sit down as a group, and I've said this multiple times, but you sit down, your family or your friends, and you just play games. You compete against each other. You work together. And it's all in one room. You're sitting there being social, talking to people, challenging people, all these different things. There's emotions going around. There's, there's talking, obviously. And I think it's more engaging playing that in a room than playing Call of Duty online.
Yeah. But there are some things they can do with this online mode. With Nintendo IPs, they can do amazing things with online mode. Like imagine a GTA Online inspired Pokemon game, where like everyone's kind of trying to level up around you.
And see, things like that will be cool, but I don't think that they should have. And honestly, I'm contradicting myself on this now that I think about it more. I don't think they should have an organized online system like the others, because if they did that, then people would be able to exploit it. And if they have like online features for certain games, that makes more sense to me than having an organized online system where people could exploit it for every single game. Because I think there should be games that force you to play with in a room with your friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate that. I really do.
But even so...
And I think most people don't even take the time to think about that.
I still believe there should be the option.
If the option is there, people will use it. That's why I don't think there should be the option.
People will use it
because the option being there will ruin it.
Yeah. Ruin it for some players who don't want it to be there.
Exactly.
But it would take some adjustments to get it done, but I really think it needs the adjustments.
I don't know. I'm not a game developer. Obviously, I don't work at Nintendo, so I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know how all this stuff works. Maybe they could figure something out that worked, but I just think that the Wii U is a great console, has great first-party titles. It has the potential to be even greater than it is, and I definitely appreciate the fact that it brings people together in one room as opposed to playing online.
Yeah, and that's Nintendo isn't quite like the Xbox One and the PS4. It's completely different when you compare the two. It shouldn't be like the Xbox One and the PS4 with many things.
Yeah, and honestly, I appreciate the fact that it's simple. And like when you think about Xbox One or PS4, what are their main things? You think about online, right?
You think about online. You think about the free games. You think about the indie games. You think about all.
And there are actually some indie games on Wii U. There are some indie games, but they're very limited because again, people are not taking advantage of it.
And people don't really want to see them. They want to see the first party games.
Yeah,
that's what they come for at Nintendo anyway.
Exactly.
I don't think Nintendo really needs to care enough
enough
about third-party games.
I think they should
need to get the timing right.
I think they should add the support, and they should support third-party games. They should say, if you guys want to make games on our console, go ahead.
Yeah, if you want to play Skyrim on Nintendo Switch. Go right ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what they're doing now with the Nintendo Switch, which I think is amazing. Which I think is fucking cool. Playing Skyrim on a Nintendo console, like, you never thought that would happen.
And the main reason I think that the Nintendo Switch won't fail is because, again, the reason why I thought that the Wii U failed is because it was released next to the 3DS.
I think the reason that the Switch will be good, I'm predicting it will be a success, at least in a small amount, or a small
it might not win the console war, but
yeah,
it will
but
be
I think it'll definitely be more successful than the Wii U because it has, and I think that's what they're pushing. Because if you're watching these trailers, and especially the first trailer for the Wii U, they were pushing these third-party supported games, and I think that's what they're trying to do. And they're saying, look, you guys wanted it. Here's this, okay, and you can play Skyrim on the Switch. You can play whatever on the Switch. You know what I mean? And you can also play these Nintendo games.
Yeah, and that's great.
And I think I think it's awesome. I think it's fucking awesome. So
yeah,
good on Nintendo for that, for sure. All right, we spent a lot of time on the Wii U.
Wait. One more thing. I really want to get this out of the way. You interrupted me.
Sorry.
Again, with the Nintendo, the Wii U right next to the 3DS.
I think that definitely did hurt it.
They were fighting for attention for Nintendo.
Yeah, for sure.
But with the Switch, it doesn't have any competition.
Yeah, it's like the Dreamcast. All these little things add up and just fucked it off. Like, they just fucked it up. Like the PS2, the GameCube, and then the Xbox screwed up the Dreamcast existence. And now, because this is coming out after the PS4, after the Xbox One, there's no other, like, new DS or anything released that Nintendo has to focus their efforts on. I think this will be a really good console, and probably Nintendo's best console so far. And I hope it is, honestly. It should be.
Nintendo really needs this huge console after this, maybe even a decade of kind of failures.
Yeah.
The Wii was very successful.
And it sucks because I love Nintendo. I love them. They make amazing games. And they make some good consoles, but they just need that amazing console.
They need their credibility back.
Exactly. They need their reputation back, which I think they're gonna earn with the Switch.
Which I don't really like Nintendo. I shouldn't have said I like Nintendo games. But they weren't really my cup of tea growing up. I love PlayStation. I can't fucking talk. I love PlayStation. I love Sony. And I want to see them succeed. I want to see Nintendo and Sony actually be competition towards each other.
Yeah, exactly. I want Nintendo to reach the level where they're like, shit, should we make a deal with like PS2 to get our Sony to get our Mario game on their console so we can screw over Xbox? I want them to be in that level of competition.
Because in reality,
that Sony and Microsoft are at, where they're going head to head. I want Nintendo to be there because they deserve it. They honestly deserve it.
In reality, PlayStation was actually was a collaboration between Nintendo and Sony.
The first one, yeah. They actually, or the concept, the original concept was a collaboration between Sony and Nintendo, and Sony took pretty much the gist of that and made the PS1.
Yeah, and Nintendo basically just wanted the majority of the money, and Sony went, nope, you ain't doing that. And sparked the greatest video game power struggle of all time.
Yeah.
Alright, let's move on to
the Vita, and this is your area of expertise, because
Alright. So, a similar situation to the Wii U. The PS4 released almost a year after the Vita did. And this year was probably the best year to be into portable gaming. Also, the 3DS basically just came out this time. The 3DS and the Vita were basically neck and neck in sales. Mm-hmm. And some amazing Vita games came out during this time. Minecraft, Vita, Killzone Mercenary, Uncharted Golden Abyss. Great games. Little Big Planet for the Vita. All amazing games. But once that year was up and the PS4 was out, they basically ignored the Vita.
Yeah, which I think sucks because the Vita, it's a similar situation to the Wii U. I feel is that it's significantly underappreciated or underused by the company.
Yeah.
And I like my selling point for the Vita is that you can use it as another screen for your console. Like you're playing your PS4 in your room. You got to go take a shit. You take your fucking Vita down to the bathroom.
Hell
and
yeah.
continue playing your game. That is awesome to me. Why has no one else done that? And why are they not like exploiting the Vita to its like maximum possibility? Because that right there, sells me on a Vita, dude.
Yeah, dude. And you can buy right now. You can buy a PS4 and a Vita in a bundle for $500.
Wow.
Which is a pretty good deal.
Pretty good because the Vitas I think are like 160.
Yeah, about that. And
And-
PS4 is about $200.
200. I thought they were like $300,
Yeah, $200 to $300.
something like that. So
Wait,
I don't
wait
know.
a
Maybe
minute. That's
yeah,
probably
doesn't
not a
add
good
up.
idea anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't add up. Maybe they have games and stuff with it. I don't know. I
perhaps.
haven't really looked into it, but
We'll have to look it up later.
yeah.
But yeah, the Vita is honestly amazing, and some of the best handheld games came off that console. And right now, it's kind of just steadily it's. At first, it was at the height of its sales in 2012 and 2013 when all those amazing games were coming out. But once they stopped paying attention to it, it kind of dropped straight down in sales. And now
Yeah.
it's just kind of steadily just going in a straight line in
Yeah.
sales. Because of the Vita is basically an indie machine right now. You play all these amazing indie games on the system, like The Binding of Isaac, Don't Starve, all these great games, just straight on the go, wherever the hell you want to take them, just due to their pick up and play nature.
Yeah.
They're just so great. And again, what you said with PS4 remote play, it all just kind of works into the Vita, and it's selling just steadily right now. It's not going up, it's not going down. Vita kind of found its place, and it's very passionate community. Like if you watch the Vita Boys or other Vita channels, they're all very passionate about their console.
I definitely think it could be better. Like, I think it's significantly underused by the company, as the
Yeah.
case with the Wii U. They're focusing mainly on PS4, when they should be focusing on bringing the Vita up and enhancing it and making it more compatible with the PS4.
Yeah.
And marketing that better. If they were like, because I don't know if they had ever said in any marketing that you could use it as like another control or basically a remote play, like the remote play.
They have a lot.
I don't know if they have really pushed it because I never really knew that until I looked into getting a Vita, and I was like, and that was honestly the reason that sold me on it. So I was like, the Vita's cool. I thought it was gonna be like another PSP, a separate console completely,
Yeah.
but it also works very well with the PS4, and when I read that it was, you could use it for remote play, I was like, that's cool because they have a PlayStation app which I downloaded on my iPad, and it says you can use it as a second screen for your PS4, but it doesn't actually use it for a second screen. It pops up to a screen where it's basically like arrows, and you navigate your PS4 like that, and it doesn't even really work
Could you even
completely.
play your games on
No.
it? Well,
No.
on the Vita you can play.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I thought that it was gonna work as a second screen, like it says. So where I can again.
Right here.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's right here.
So like again, I can go like take a shit, take my iPad with me, be holding my controller in my hand, which would be fucking awesome, and use it with my iPad and play my games on my iPad.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Also, all the great games like
Can I see?
Sure.
Dude, the Vita is. I really wanted a Vita, dude. I still do. Sonic Transformed.
Persona 4 Golden is probably that's probably a reason to buy the Vita right there. It's such a great game. I didn't really want to play it because I'm not really into JRPGs, but once I played it, it was absolutely amazing.
I don't know too much about the games that are on the Vita. I mean, I obviously know Minecraft is on it, but Minecraft is fucking on everything. In closing, do you have anything to say?
Honestly, it's mainly down to how marketing is for the consoles that really makes it fail. Power isn't too much because, of course, the Xbox dwarfed the PS2 in power, and the PS2 just beat the crap out of it.
Well, it
in
also
sales.
came out after the PS2 and that's why it had such an advantage, was because once the PS2 was released, Microsoft had time to be like, okay, so that's what we have to beat. Whereas now, like, they don't really release the specs until the consoles have been pretty much developed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that it kind of eliminates that opportunity for them to say, all right, now we have to make it better than them. And then they're like, oh, no, we have to make it better than them. You know what I mean? They just develop their console to their standards, and that's it. And then they release it. You know what I mean? And then whichever one comes out better, I mean, I guess is just fate. You know what I mean? I would assume there is some kind of strategizing in it, and they're saying they probably have some sort of inside thing where they're like, they have some sort of idea of what's going on or what they need to beat or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, in closing, I definitely don't think these consoles deserve to fail at all. I don't think any of the three we talked about deserve to fail, and I'm pretty sure there are more consoles out there that failed.
Oh yeah, plenty
that we
more
haven't covered.
That kind of fit under the same pattern, but the Dreamcast really kind of stands against the pattern of the Wii U and the.
Actually,
the
it
Vita.
really doesn't, because it was dwarfed by everything around it. Which seems to be the pattern, is that everything around it has either better marketing or is maybe a more powerful console or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're simple. You know, the Wii U is simple. You just play Nintendo games on it. And it is a powerful console, more powerful than the PS3 and Xbox 360.
But the marketing for Xbox 360 and PS2 was a lot better.
Yeah, extremely better.
Just like how the Vita was much more powerful than the 3DS, but
Yeah.
the 3DS had much better marketing.
Exactly.
Nintendo paid all of its attention onto it, while Sony was busy paying all of its attention to the PS4.
Exactly.
And now that Sony is paying all of its attention to the PS4, and Nintendo is going to be paying all of its attention to the Switch, I'm very excited for the future, because competition creates creativity, and when
it creates the opportunity for these companies to strive to be better.
Yeah, and when Sony really challenges Nintendo, or Nintendo really challenges Sony, it's gonna be very interesting.
Yeah, and I honestly really hope that Sony takes advantage of the remote play in some sense, either releasing a newer updated Vita or a Vita 2 or something like that. Just I really love the idea of remote play, and I think it's definitely underused. I think it should definitely be more of a central point of a Sony handheld console.
Like, even with this, you can buy R2 and L2 buttons.
That's cool.
So you don't have to use the back touchscreen.
There's a back touchscreen?
Yeah, there's a back touchpad.
Holy shit! I didn't even know that.
Some games.
These should have been buttons.
They should
honestly.
have been, but they just grips.
Yeah, they should have been buttons. But I didn't even notice that there was like.
Yeah, that's a back touchpad.
I didn't know that.
Works for some games.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
In conclusion, I can speak for myself. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't think these consoles deserve to fail.
Oh.
And I definitely think that the Wii U and the Vita can still be improved.
Yeah. Of course, it's too late for the Dreamcast.
Yeah,
right
obviously.
Yeah, with enough.
I think with enough TLC, the Wii U and the Vita can come to a place where there'll be consoles that will go down in history as they were good.
They were really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think they probably.
They started off pretty shitty.
Well, the Vita
not really shit. Not shitty in a sense that they were bad consoles, but in a sense that they did bad.
They disappointed.
Yeah, they disappointed. And with that, we're gonna
ended this
we're gonna
podcast like 5 times.
Yeah, we tried to end it like 5 times. But with that, we're gonna conclude this episode. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Nasty. And with that, we're gonna probably end the podcast.
Yeah, all right.
That was so gross.
Well, I mean, in conclusion.